I saw Star Wars The Last Jedi last night, and it was incredible. I could not believe when Luke Skywalker when the porgs, I should say, and then at the end, oh, it was just amazing. And then when everybody jumped up and everyone was cheering, it was just incredible. Oh, hey, I hope I haven't somehow ruined Star Wars The Last Jedi for anyone who hasn't gone and seen it yet. Come on, I would never do that. Give me a break. Spoilers online, I oughta. Hey gang, Jeff Mackler once again, and yes, I am the host of the Daily Dope as well as the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. And TGIF, yes, it is Friday, December 15th, and I have to point out, it's a little chilly down here in the Duct Tape Studios, so I actually put on some of my Chicago Cubs gear so I can imagine that I'm actually sitting out in the bleachers of Wrigley soaking up some rays. Maybe I'll feel a little bit warmer. I doubt it, though. So welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I have a big show in store for us. I have the unboxing of Welcome to Centerville from GMT Games. My good pals Gene and Tony and the rest of the gang over at GMT are always so kind to send me just about everything that comes out from the company. And so I am going to unbox Chad Jensen's latest title in just a little bit. Might as well put that over on the side and get ready for that. I also have a review of The Lost Expedition from Osprey Games. I know this is sort of a family-friendly Friday or family fair Friday. And some folks might think, well, wait a second, is that really a family game? And yes, I'll explain why. You can easily break out The Lost Expedition with smaller, or I should say younger, size I guess doesn't matter, age does, some younger gamers as well. So of course I'll be reviewing that in just a little bit. And for those of you wondering what's cooking for Monday, as I mentioned on yesterday's show, I have Sakura Arms from my pals over at Alderac Entertainment Group, or as I always like to say, those of us in the know refer to them as AEG. So very cool. Looking at this on Monday, it's supposed to be a very popular Japanese game, and it's their latest release in the Big in Japan lineup of games. But I do have a few news pieces to share with you today. It was kind of a slower news day, and I will be pontificating a little bit about the news. But before I jump into those news items, a couple of things I wanted to mention. I did want to apologize for something I had said on Tuesday's show about Gale Force 9 games. Now, nobody reached out and said, hey man, you're completely wrong about what I had said, but I did realize that I was incorrect. And I talked a little bit about game companies that just don't share information about their games and how really that's detrimental to their sales. And the Doctor Who Time of the Daleks game is out, and it looked pretty cool, and I got the news secondhand. I didn't get it directly from Gale Force 9. And this is one of the reasons why I mentioned on that show too I really try to avoid secondhand information from other websites. So I had mentioned that, I thought Gale Force 9 would really be plugging this game because, come on, it's Doctor Who. It's a licensed property. Aren't you going to get the news out about that? You have to shell out money to the Beeb to be able to make this game. And I didn't find anything. Well, the problem was I didn't search enough. And I had just gone off of the link that I had found from the secondary source and couldn't find anything from there. And it turns out that Gale Force 9 has a subdomain for the Doctor Who game, which of course I did not know about. So there is loads and loads of info out there about Doctor Who Time of the Daleks. So I do want to apologize, because if I make a mistake or something, I am going to tell you right up front, hey, I messed up. And once again, it's another reason why I prefer companies to reach out to me with their press releases so I can share their info directly from them. Other thing I want to mention, everybody was making a huge deal, especially yesterday, about Disney acquiring a vast majority of 20th Century Fox. And I had to laugh because I was seeing just the interwebs explode. And all of these people were talking about, oh my gosh, the Predator reboot, that's dead, it's dead, forget it now. And there's no R-rated Deadpool 2, it's not gonna happen now. And I had to laugh, because do people not stop and think before they just, well, I know they don't. I mean, let's be honest. Vast majority of people do not stop and think before they just start plugging away with whatever thought pops into their head at that moment online. But anyway, I don't understand why people were freaking out about the acquisition of Fox by Disney. Disney's a corporation. Disney's there to make money, and they are not going to sit there and say, oh gosh, can't have an R-rated film, not with Disney. Well, no, it's not going to carry like a Walt Disney Films title in the opening. It's going to be some other studio, and they'll probably still say 20th Century Fox for all I know. But I did think it was just hysterical that people were getting hysterical about this acquisition. Because between you and I keep my language family friendly, so I'll kind of phrase this so if you're watching this or listening to this and you have the kids around, they're probably not going to know what I mean. But if Disney could make a profit, a big enough profit, by dipping their toes into, let's say, the adult film market, trust me, they would. They are not going to shy away from any kind of R-rated films that were already slated or even in the earliest stages of development, people. Have no fear. Deadpool 2 will be here. Okay, so anyway, so let's get on to the news for today. And if you like racing and you like classic games, well, then you very well might be interested in a new title that's coming from Restoration Games. And they did make an announcement. Well, I shouldn't say it's a new title. It's going to be new to a lot of places around the world, because Restoration Games has announced that they are partnering up with Yellow Games to bring Downforce to the rest of the world. Released by Restoration Games at Gen Con 2017, Gen Con 50, folks, Downforce has been met with near universal praise for its quick play, high player interaction, and top-notch components. Wolfgang Kramer's original design was featured in such titles as Daytona 500, Top Race, and Detroit-Cleveland Grand Prix. The new version was restored by Rob DeVoe. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Hopefully. Sorry, Rob, if I'm wrong. Justin D. Jacobson, president of Restoration Games, said, "We are committed to bringing the very best we have to every game we release, the finest art, components, and play. Naturally, when we began looking for a partner for foreign language publication, we were adamant that it be an organization easily committed to those ideals. We know Yellow is just that company, and we're delighted to be working with them. Under the agreement, Yellow has the right to publish in every territory outside the United States. The company already has plans to publish a French version in 2018 and is looking at other versions as well. Yellow is proud and excited to add a new title brought by Rob DeVoe to its catalog. Thanks to our strong partnerships on all continents, we are ready to bring new buzz and love around this game outside the US, said Romain Francois on behalf of the company. Of course, and the company in question would be Yellow. Now, wait a second, you say you don't know about Downforce? Well, let me give you the dope. High-stakes bidding on million-dollar race cars, frantic bets placed in secret even as the cars race around the track. Hey, wait a second, wouldn't that mean the fix is in? Placing bets on a race that's all, I don't know. And to the victor, the biggest purse of all. But in the world of motor racing, the margin between victory and defeat can be a single moment. A steep bank turn, tires screaming and spitting out smoke, and the downforce, pressing you down in your seat and keeping you on the track as you make your move inside to pull ahead. I keep wanting to call it downforce, like an action movie kind of downforce. Put a little echo in there. Downforce is a card-driven bidding, racing, and betting game for 2 to 6 players based on Top Race, the award-winning design by the legendary Wolfgang Kramer. Players first bid to own the 6 cars in the race, then they play cards from their hand to speed them around the track. However, most cards will also move their opponent's cars, I should say, so figuring out just the right time to play a card is the key to victory. Along the way, players make secret bets on who they think will win the race. Whoever has the most money from their prize money, winning bets, and remaining bank wins. This is a game whose design needed no attention. Years of play and multiple versions have honed it to near perfection. On the contrary, one of the design challenges was figuring which of the many rule modules to incorporate to create the most fun version. Downforce also adds variable player powers to improve replayability, but mostly it improves the look of the game to make it gorgeous and easy to play. Special attention was paid to the colors, the layout of the cards, the design of the cars, and details on the board and more. Downforce is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in 30 to 45 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $40. I do also want to mention there is an expansion in the works that's going to have a huge track, and that is going to hit summer 2018. I believe the MSRP on that is about $19.95, $20, somewhere around there. And I'm going to guess that Restoration Games is probably going to unveil that either, I would think, Origins or Gen Con. Probably more likely Gen Con. I do have kind of a funny story, real quickly, about, well, it's not about Downforce, but it's about a game that it was based on. And years ago, when Gen Con was up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so Elliot Miller and I, if you watch the show, you've heard me talk about Elliot. We're best friends for 36, 37 years. So we're up at Gen Con, and we get these generic tickets, and we're kind of looking around to do something, and we end up in this auto racing game, which I don't know if it was the Cleveland-Detroit Grand Prix it was based on or what, but it was this game. And the person who was running it was doing a tournament, and they were actually using Matchbox cars, and they had this huge track laid out. So funny enough, so we play, and I actually qualify for the final race later on that night. And it was like, okay, sure. So Elliot and I go for the final race, and somebody hadn't shown up, so Elliot got into it too. And long story short, we're playing, and I win the tournament. I win the race. And the person who was running it had this huge, we're talking massive. It was like a 4-foot-high trophy that he had brought to give away to the person who won. So here I am walking through Gen Con, carrying this huge trophy. And people are looking at me like, oh my gosh, did this guy just win? Did this guy just win a tournament for that newfangled Magic game? It was like, no. So it was really funny to see me walking around carrying this huge trophy and just the people looking like, it's like when you're at, say, a theme park or something, and you see somebody carrying just a massive, massive stuffed animal that they won, and people are like, whoa, what did you have to play to get that? What did that cost you? Sort of along the same lines. Hey, come on, I'm telling you, it's a slow news day. I don't have a whole lot of news. So, anyway, I do want to point out that if you're a fan of miniatures and you dig pre-painted miniatures, and let's say maybe you like Dungeons and Dragons, then my next news piece is for you. Because the D&D Icons of the Realm Classic Creatures box set, which features 9 reimagined iconic monsters from the first Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, is now available from WizKids. I always want to say WizKids Games, but I don't think they like going by that title anymore. I think they just prefer WizKids. And I am showing you some of the classic monsters that are included in this, and I'm almost tempted to use kind of like a radio classic oldies kind of voice to bring you this news piece. So allow me to do that. The D&D Icons of the Realms Classic Creatures box set features 9 reimagined iconic monsters from the first Dungeons & Dragons monster manual. Yes, I actually did say that. Add the approximately 4-inch tall, 2-headed classic Demogorgon to your Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game and hypnotize adventurers like never before. Or surprise your party with a gigantic purple worm, hungry and ready to make any creature its next meal. The D&D Icons of the Realms Classic Creatures box commemorates the original fantasy role-playing game that kicked off the entire industry. You'll see such classics as Ogre Magi, Demogorgon, the Orc, can't get much more classic than that, the Troll, the Purple Worm, Orc Archer, Shahagin Mystic, and the Shahagin, as well as everyone's favorite and lovable Furious Owlbear. Ask your friendly local game store about the free 2-inch version of the Demogorgon. You can score the 9 pre-painted miniatures in the D&D Icons of the Realms Classic Creature box set at an MSRP of $79.99. Okay. All right. Anyway, as far as the WizKids pre-painted minis, I have seen them close up. I have not seen really up close some of their HeroClix stuff recently. I can only kind of go based on what I used to see HeroClix. And of course, the HeroClix aren't really truly 28/32 millimeter figures. They tend to be a little smaller, a little thinner. But these pre-paints, I swear I saw some of these at Gen Con. Some mock-ups, I guess we would say. Some early release figures. And they're pretty sweet. The pre-paints on these are pretty nice. And one of the drawbacks for a lot of pre-painted miniatures is the paint jobs are really, really lame. So most people end up doing their best to remove the paint that's on them, priming them, and repainting them. But as you can see from some of the images, and by all means go over to WizKids.com to get a much closer look, these look really, really nice. The pre-paint is really, really well done. A little bit more shading and shadowing than I'm used to seeing. Now, of course, some folks might want to put on a quick wash or two and maybe do a little dry brush highlighting to really make them pop for their gaming table. And of course, by all means, you don't need to be playing Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy these minis. And $80 for 9 pre-paints, and some are big. The Purple Worm's pretty big, the Owlbear's pretty big, and of course the Demogorgon is really big. It's 4 inches high, so that's a pretty pretty good size mini. It's a pretty fair price. I would say it's a pretty fair price. I would not complain about that. So check it out. I'm trying to get more miniature stuff out there too. But of course this fits in with, you know, Family Fair Friday because they're pre-paints. Don't have to paint them. Anyway, moving right along. The hits just keep coming. And I guess, yeah, I was just doing my fake DJ voice talking about the hits. So speaking of hits, they really do keep coming from the fine folks at Modiphius Entertainment. Yes, that's right, because the latest supplement for the awesome Conan. I say Conan. I'm just going to say Conan. If I'm wrong, whatever. I just say Conan O'Brien. Anyway, the latest supplement is available from my friends over at Modiphius Entertainment, and it's in print. So here is the dope from across the pond. We're pleased to announce that Conan the Thief, the larcenous source book for Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. Let me grab a sip here. Woo. It's an awesome role-playing game that I gave a fantastic review for, and I can't even tell you the damn name correctly. Conan the Thief, the larcenous sourcebook for Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of, is now available in a physical format. That's right, you can get it in your hot little hands. Conan the Thief is available in print on Modiphius.net and also as a standalone PDF product. Welcome to the shadows. Torches flared murkily on the revels in the mall, where the thieves of the East held carnival by night. In the mall, they could carouse and roar as they liked, for honest people shunned the quarters, and watchmen, well paid with stained coins, did not interfere with their sport. Conan the Thief takes you into the dark underworld of the Hyborian Age, from the choked avenues of the most dangerous cities to the marbled corridors of the wealthiest palaces. Master thieves and deadly assassins seek to make their fortunes, risking all in pursuit of gold, prestige, and respect. Whatever it is you seek, fast hands and quicker wits can forge a legend. Embark upon dangerous heists, avoiding traps, watchmen, hideous creatures, and fell sorceries in pursuit of treasures beyond your wildest dreams. I don't know, I can imagine quite a bit. Work alongside legendary thieves of Conan's world, carrying out robberies worthy of their reputation, or work against them and take the riches of the world for yourself. Steal wealth beyond measure, avoid capture, and secure yourself a place in infamy. This book does require the Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of core book to use. It is going to include a lot of new stuff, so you've got new archetypes, talents, and equipment, allowing you to create your own unique thief characters with all the skills needed to flourish and survive. You'll also receive plenty of information covering the locations of Conan's world, where thieves prosper and riches are there for the plunder. Detailed guides to the cities of Zamora, Shadazar, and others, revealing those places where thieves can find gold for the taking and refuge from the law. Stunning art and maps produced by world-renowned Conan artists are also included. Guides to running authentic thief games with all new rules for joining guilds, measuring your renown, and building your reputations as the greatest thieves the world has ever seen. A heist generator, allowing game masters to create unique adventures that capture the danger, darkness, and intrigue of a Conan story, all in a couple of dice rolls, is included. Developed with leading Conan scholars, this is the tense, deadly underworld of the Hyborian Age, just as Howard created it. We hope you enjoy this new Conan product and look out for more great Conan guides and supplements coming soon. Currently, you can score Conan the Thief in print right now for approximately $26.50. All depends on the exchange rate every day. But you can snag the PDF right now over at DriveThru RPG for $12.99. One thing I will mention, the Gaming Gang, and of course, that means the Daily Dope, happens to be an affiliate of Drive-Thru RPG. And I always mention, if you're going to be buying PDFs for role-playing games and they're available on Drive-Thru RPG, do me a favor, stop by the Gaming Gang first, click on one of our multiple banners for any of the Drive-Thru sites before you shop at those sites, because we get just a tiny little bit of that purchase, and you'd be amazed. All those tiny little purchases do add up and help us out. Plus, it's not as if you're having to pay more because you clicked on our link. Anyway, for my final news piece, I like stuff that's free. You like stuff that's free. And unfortunately, I got the news about getting Grim Fandango remastered too late, because otherwise I would have shared that with you today. It's over at GOG or GOG or whatever, but it ended last night. I didn't even get to score a free copy of Grim Fandango, which is one of the best, I guess what would we say, point and click adventures ever created. But right now, yesterday I mentioned Mark H. Walker's Platoon Commander Deluxe Kursk, which is currently up on Kickstarter. And that is World War II Eastern Front action, right? So you unback that, you're like all pumped for that. You're like, yeah, I'm ready for some Eastern Front. Well, of course, you have to wait for that game to finish up its Kickstarter and go to production. So in the meantime, if you're up for some Eastern Front action, you may want to go grab Company of Heroes 2 absolutely free from Humble Bundle. Yes, that's right, free. And I have said it before, I'll say it again. When anybody mentions free to the press, we come running. Company of Heroes and Company of Heroes 2 are awesome real-time strategy games set during World War II. So I certainly wanted to share this info. I do not know how long this is going to run, how long this giveaway is going to run. It could end today, could end tomorrow, could be going until Christmas. I don't have any word on that right now. Later on, I will be sharing the link when I post the news to thegaminggang.com. But actually, if you just go to humblebundle.com, you'll see that you can score Company of Heroes absolutely free. My final news, well, I guess I'm not going to say it's final. I just don't need the teleprompter anymore. Actually, I wasn't using the teleprompter for that either, so you can tell. So goodbye, teleprompter. See you Monday. Don't let the door hit you in the coating on your way out. A couple other items, if you're looking to save some dough. Everybody's always looking to save a little bit of green. And, you can do some holiday shopping too. Currently, Osprey Games, today is their last day of their 30% off sale. So you may want to swing over to ospreypublishing.com, click on their game link. It's going to show off the games. And then there's should be like a banner ad showing what games are on sale. And they've got quite a few that you can save 30% off on. I do have to point out the Lost Expedition, which I'm doing a review of today, is not one. Sorry. But you can save 30%. Other sales item that I want to mention is Victory Point Games still have their 12 Games of Christmas sale taking place. And there were a few items of note that I spotted. They're adding a new game every other day. Kind of like a little savings advent calendar. Pop it open. Oh, hey, a little piece of chocolate, and hey, I get to save some money too. So there is the special expansion they did. It's just a small little expansion for my good buddy Herman Letman's Dawn of the Zeds. You can pick that up. But if you don't have Dawn of the Zeds, and you should, because it's an awesome game. But if you're looking for full-size games, They do have Healthy Heart Hospital on sale, which I did review, and I really dug it. I was kind of surprised that I can't say I was surprised I did. I guess I was surprised that I really enjoyed it as much as I did. Really, really liked it. It's a pretty clever Euro game, and all the players are actually administrators of a kind of a rundown hospital. They're looking to improve the performance, make it more profitable. Very, very cool, very clever game. Like that a lot. Another sale item that they've got is Twilight of the Gods. It's a card game. It's actually a very, very recent release. I have not seen it. I have not played it. I guess now I have sort of a complicated relationship with Victory Point Games. I don't know where I stand with them sometimes. So I did not get to see that for review, but I have heard some pretty good stuff about it. I don't know a lot about it, but it is a very, very recent release, and both on Healthy Heart Hospital and Twilight of the Gods, you can save $9 on each. So it looks like it's about 25% off, maybe a little more than 25% off. So be sure to go to victorypointgames.com maybe every other day to see what they've got cooking on sale, because like I said, they're releasing new titles that they're putting on sale every other day until Christmas Eve. I will mention that, of course, I don't think Victory Point Games can ship whatever titles you order out in time for the holidays. So, hey, it's a trade-off. Saving a little money. Don't get it before Christmas, but that's okay. The final news piece I wanted to share, I ran across, and this is going to kind of segue into an opinion piece. And I'm not one of these people. I'm not here to call people out by name, anything like that. I'm not here to shame people. Well, maybe I'll shame some people a little bit, but I'm not going to shame them by name. So I ran across an article this morning talking about how the folks at Wizards of the Coast, and by that, folks behind the Magic the Gathering tournaments and so on and so forth, have banned a couple of men who had been harassing a woman who I guess is pretty popular in the Magic community. One sec. And I guess she publicly named these people who had also been publicly just trolling her and just making her life kind of a hell. So she decided she was going to take down her Facebook page, and I believe she had some other pretty popular, I don't know if it was a website or maybe it was YouTube videos or something along those lines. I don't recall exactly. But she was basically quitting because of effectively these two people. So one of them received a lifetime ban from Magic tournaments, and the other person got a one-year ban from tournaments as well. And I guess there's a petition to reinstate these people, and some folks are over there, writing, hey, this isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of times I don't take sides in situations because there's two sides to every story, right? There's always, hopefully, at least two sides. There's usually more than two sides to just about every story. But this is a story that, in my opinion, there's only one side. There's one side. And, you might be out there watching this. Maybe you're watching live. Maybe you're watching later on. Maybe, you see this a month after I've done this live stream. It's still, what I have to say is still going to be just as valid then as it is now. I don't understand some of the people who are in our hobby. Our hobby, I believe there's a lot of people who aren't very familiar with not only the history of our hobby, and when I talk about our hobby, I'm talking tabletop games, pretty much. I'm talking role-playing games, board games, so on and so forth. But, I mean, the Gaming Gang and the Daily Dope, we talk about different stuff. It's geek culture. It's stuff that's going to appeal to the geek in all of us. And most of us have a little geek or a big geek. It's something in between inside all of us. And there are plenty of people out there who have this weird, very, very bizarre sense of ownership of our hobby. And comics, movies, TV shows, gaming, all this. They think because they're a fan, they have ownership to it. And not only do they have ownership to it, but sort of an exclusivity to who can enjoy our hobby or hobbies. And I'm going to keep things family friendly. That is just BS. I'm one of these people. I'm 50 years old, okay? So I've been around. I've been around a lot of blocks that probably many of the viewers out there have not, okay? So I've got some mileage behind me, and I have seen this hobby, gaming, when it was in the crapper, just like I've seen the comic industry when it was in the toilet, and I have seen it where it has been huge. And right now, we are pretty much in a golden age of gaming. Comic books, not so much. Yeah, sure. Marvel, Warner Brothers, they're making loads of money on the movies. Comic book industry is still not as healthy as it should be. But as far as gaming, we are in a golden age. Many of you were not around when there were not these amazing games that were out there for you to run out and just try to figure out, okay, well, this looks awesome. This looks awesome. I heard this is fantastic. This is amazing. I only have so much to spend. What am I going to get? And that's why folks like that turn to people like me, websites like Board Game Geek. They watch Tom on the Dice Tower and everybody working with Tom. There's all these Man versus Meeple. I could go on and on and on, right? The reason why people come to this is because we are in this golden age of gaming. And I'm going to tell you why we're in a golden age of gaming. And that is because everyone involved in the hobby, from the person who picks up their first role-playing game core book or their first copy of Steve Jackson's Munchkin, whoever, all the way up to the folks who are calling the shots in Redmond for Paizo Publishing and Wizards of the Coast. They're not all pale, pasty white guys like me anymore. And that is why we are in the midst of just this fantastic time to be a fan of these things. And whenever I see somebody who's out there just abusing other people, it doesn't matter if it's a man, a woman, sexual orientation, their race, their religious beliefs, their political beliefs, whatever. When I see someone being targeted by asshats because, for whatever reason, and trust me, I get emails from people and I'm like, yeah, and I'll talk about that in a sec, but it just really drives me bananas because what's happening when you do that, you're driving people out of the hobby. And you're not just driving the people that you personally don't want in the hobby. You're driving other people who, for whatever reason, you want in the hobby away as well. I have a belief, and I have lived by these words, and I came up with this phrase in my teens. I have told people over the years, if you have a problem, that's fine. Don't make it my problem. And there are way too many people out there who are now making this my problem. And I am not going to sit back and allow people to just run folks who are just as deserving as everyone else to take part in all the joy and fun we get out of this. Personally, if you want to sit around your gaming table and you want to role play that you're Nazis during the Holocaust, knock yourself out. If you want to involve yourself in games where you're basically enjoying whatever bizarre fetish you enjoy, fine. That is way in your prerogative. As As long as everyone around the table's fine with that, you're having a good time, it doesn't matter. It's when you take your hatred or your ignorance, willful ignorance, or just sense of such zero worth in this world, because that's what it really boils down to. A lot of these trolls and things like that, they feel they have no worth, or they're hiding the fact that they add no value to this world and take out their frustrations on other people. That is what a vast majority of bullies do. But when they do that, then it becomes a problem for all of us. And we can, people like myself and other gamers who have not been super vocal. I mean, I have posted stuff saying, you know, what is the big fuss? Everybody's getting so upset about Gen Con had more women as like featured speakers than they did men. Who cares? I mean, is that such a big deal in your life? Is that really just, you know, soul crushing that you can't go on? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm going to be much more vocal. I think the person who got the 1-year ban, personally, should have banned him for life. Should have banned him for life. Now, Wizards of the Coast is saying, hey, you can't play Magic in your own home and be a douchebag then. Go ahead. Be as douchey as you want to be in your own home. Don't take it to us, because what people like that, if we allow these, and it's such a small minority, but they're so vocal, it drives you bananas. So it's just so few people who are just ignorant. But the thing is, they're gonna kill what makes this hobby great. Why we are experiencing this fantastic renaissance of tabletop gaming, by driving folks out. Because, as I said before, back in the day, it was all white guys. I wish some of the folks out there who would, who are being really nasty to people for absolutely no reason. You can disagree with people, whatever. Don't watch their show. Don't read their posts. Don't follow their Twitter. How difficult is that? I don't understand why people like to get wound up about stuff that doesn't matter in the great scheme of things. But I would hate to see us go back to how it used to be. Oh, what I was going to say is, you know, I wish there were some of these folks who are, you know, just brutally nasty to people who aren't exactly like them online, had been to Gen Cons years ago when it was just white dudes hanging out. It was all white dudes. And if we saw a person of color or a woman or anything, anyone that wasn't a white dude, first thought that popped into your head was, did they get lost? Are they on their way to that polka museum that's here? Yes, I don't know if it's still there, but the Milwaukee Convention Center had this polka museum portion. I love the fact that I go to all these different conventions, I talk to all these different people, and I talk to all these different people. That's what's amazing about it. So I just want to throw that out. I know it's not kind of a news piece, but I'm 100% behind Wizards of the Coast and anyone else who decides that they are going to throw trolls out of their tournaments, conventions, what have you. Because you know what? This is a welcoming hobby. We all get along for the most part. Yes, okay, yeah. Oh, I hate D&D. Oh, I hate Pathfinder. Oh, whatever, that's fine. Those kind of arguments have gone on since the beginning of time. Checkers stinks. I hate chess. I hate Go. Anyway, moving right along. Before I jump into the Welcome to Centerville unboxing, I did want to jump into the mailbag real quick. And this sort of goes along the lines of what I was just talking about. So once again, I'm not going to publicly shame somebody by name. So I get an email yesterday, basically, and I'll replace kind of what they were, the words they used with little air quotes. So the email basically was, why do I waste my time on stinky crap like war games? Nobody plays those things. And isn't it really sexist for you to spend an entire day talking about games that only men play? Words to those effects, right? So, one thing no one can ever accuse me of in my entire life is being sexist. Just, you're barking up the wrong tree. You really are. So, as far as wargaming, yes, it's a niche hobby. It is a niche of a niche hobby, right? Tabletop games, it's a niche hobby, folks. I know for many of you, it is the end-all be-all of the world. And I love the hobby too, don't get me wrong. But it is a very niche hobby. So wargaming is a smaller niche, okay? There are a lot of people out there who do play war games. There are a lot of people out there who would be much more interested in war games. And I talked about this yesterday. If some companies didn't just stick to the same old formula of the hex and counter, and I talked about some of the companies out there, you know, so on and so forth. So you can't tell me that people don't play war games because they sell. I've mentioned it many times before. I'm going to mention it many times again. Everybody in this industry is here to make money, okay? They're making money. They're looking to make money. Nobody said they're saying, oh, well, you know, I got this great idea for a game, and I'm just going to publish it. Now, I'm not talking like free print-on-demand stuff. I'm talking about publishing a game and say, oh, I'm going to publish it, invest my money, and I'm going to give it away for free. That ain't going to happen, Dooley. Sorry. So they do sell. They don't sell as big or as well as, you know, a lot of other genres and so on and so forth, but they do sell. And as far as me being sexist and talking about a topic or a genre of gaming that women don't play. I mean, that was the whole, aren't I being sexist? Am I like excluding people or something like that? It was kind of the point. And I did want to mention that this person who emailed kind of got my canned response that I like to use when somebody's like, oh, yeah, I can't believe you're so stupid to not know what a divider card is when you do an unboxing for a game that you've never seen before in your life until it showed up UPS about an hour ago. My response is always, well, you know, I apologize that usually I'll use something like, I have shaken your sensibilities to their core, but I welcome you to go invest your time, energy, and money into creating your own website, and you can cover gaming however you like. That's pretty much my kind of canned response. I don't get wound up. I don't get pissed off. It's like, whatever. Yeah. Okay, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So, but as far as women don't play wargaming or war games, right? There is a young woman, and she is a contributor for, I want to say, the Dice Tower. Yeah, it's the Dice Tower. She's a contributor for the Dice Tower. And I know you're sitting there going, oh, he's talking about the Dice Tower. They're your competition. Don't you hate them? Come on, we've had that discussion before. I don't look at this as a competition. So anyway, her name is Katie. And gosh, man, off the top of my head, I can't think of her last name. But I do know her Twitter feed. And it is Katie's Game Corner. And just drop the O out of corner. Right? So her name is spelled Katie. So S, Game, C, R, N-E-R. So anyway, she covers a lot of wargaming, folks. And she's not alone. I'm going to be doing the unboxing in a sec for Welcome to Centerville, right? Chad Jensen. Okay? Chad Jensen, the designer. Unless things have suddenly changed. And it's possible. I mean, people get divorced. I don't know. I don't dig that far into people's personal lives. But his wife, Kai, develops all his games. She's the game developer. So we'll take a peek in the credits when I do the unboxing, see if she's the game developer on this, if she gets the game developer credit. And you know what? Chad Jensen does war games. He designs war games. So do you think his wife's like, no, I'm not working on that with you. It's a war game. Absolutely not. I bet she digs war games too, or conflict simulation games. So it's not sexist for me to sit here and devote part of one show every week to a niche part of our hobby that I happen to enjoy. It's sexist of you to assume women don't play war games. Give you a great example real quick. I think it was 2 years ago. I'm at the yellow press party that they have at Gen Con. Sorry, when I'm having a couple of drinks and I'm talking to this woman who had previously worked for Games Workshop. And she was pretty high up there as far as a position here in the US at the time. And this is no doubt back when Games Workshop had all the various stores around the country. And she would actually go into the stores. So she was the boss of all these people she would go into the stores to talk to. And when she would walk in, the employees couldn't believe, number one, that she actually played any of Games Workshop's titles. Women don't play Warhammer. Women don't play Warhammer 40K. Then they couldn't believe that she was her boss because they said Games Workshop doesn't hire women. Yeah, so let's talk sexist, right? Ay, ay, ay. Man, I tell you. So, I am going to move on to... I know, people are sitting there going, gosh, man, this show's been on an hour, and I haven't seen it yet. See, if you're not watching live, you're in luck, because then you can just kind of skip ahead. You can jump ahead. So let's do the unboxing for Welcome to Centerville, a game by Chad Jensen, which had just started shipping out. So, from my understanding, what we're looking at in Welcome to Centerville, Chad Jensen had designed Urban Sprawl a few years back, did really well for GMT, and it was a pretty meaty game. Not super difficult to get into, but it was a fairly meaty game. And what it basically is you're urbanizing a small town, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot. It's been a long time since I played it, though. I guarantee I would still enjoy it. Anyway, so... Hey, and since I'm doing an unboxing, I can actually kind of comment a little bit for anyone who tosses something up in chat. So yes, thank you, Enroth186. I am very right. Here's another thing, and I know I'm just kind of rambling on and stuff, but that's kind of how the show is. It's conversational, right? We're just hanging out. We're talking about games. Nobody's gonna die. It's not brain surgery. I don't understand people who sit there and they'll say, well, we don't allow women in our gaming group. I've had people tell me this, and I'll ask, well, why not? They're too distracting. Too distracting. Okay, so whose problem does that really boil down to then? It's not the woman or girl or teenager or whatever who's the problem. The problem is the person who's, I'm too distracted. I can't concentrate on my gaming if there's, a girl or a woman there. Okay, well then, that's an issue you got to deal with, man. All right, so we're going to take a look at Welcome to Centerville. It is for ages 14 and up. I don't know. I think this is probably 14 and up because it has dice in it. And a lot of times you'll notice that, especially American publishers, they're going to put their age range much higher than it's supposed to be because of the components that are in the game, not because of the difficulty of the game. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Of course, then again, we might find out that this is like a 50-page rule book, and it is for 2 to 4 players. Complexity level, GMT gives it a 4 out of 9, so it's on the lower end of their complexity scale. And it is not suitable for solitaire. It's for 2 to 4 players, and indications from GMT is it's best with a full complement of 4 players. So welcome to Centerville. You're going to be luminaries of, a small town, and you're looking to modernize your town, or small city, I guess. Okay, so let's get the plastic off. And yes, as I like to say, this is a real unboxing, folks. The plastic is actually, shrink wrap is coming off of the game as I speak. I did not cheat, read the rule book last night, and then say, well, you know, I think in this phase you're probably going to be doing this because I am so well-versed and knowledgeable about all games. I can predict the mechanics by looking at the box. I can tell you the game time to play by smelling the box top. No, you're not going to see that. Ah, okay, so right away we see we got a draw bag. Okie doke. Got a draw bag right there. We got a bunch of cubes and discs, and we've got a tall cylinder. Let's get a good look at that, shall we? There we go. Nice. Okay, I'm really looking forward to this game. I really am. I look forward to everything from GMT. I always feel bad that I don't get a chance to review some of their, you know, like traditional wargaming titles. I get them. I do unboxings of them and that. It's almost impossible for me to get them to the table. Right, so we got a bunch of dice here, and these dice look as if I don't think they all have the same size. So let's take a peek here. Let's take a look at this purple one. Oops, turn around. So we got a tree. We got check mark, ballot box maybe, kind of like a ballot box check mark. Like a little, is that a house? Sort of looks like a house. I don't know. What is that? I'm confused. It's a question mark. Did we miss something? Yep, we got another little house. Okay, so that's a purple one. Got the blue? Yeah, okay, so, or blue. It's green, stupid. Dummy. I'm not colorblind. I was looking at the blue one and pick up the green one. Yeah, it's live. Can I tell you, folks, it's live. So, so we've got kind of an hourglass here. What the heck? Is that golf clubs or something? Trying to figure out what that might be. I don't know. Oh, it's a bench. Yeah, now that I do it. Okay, so it's a perk bench. Another check mark. Hey, I bet you this is like the perk die, because there's like a center perk. Okay, so that's the green. Then we got the blue. We got this one again. We got a wrench. Or if you're watching over in England, I guess, don't you guys call that a spanner? Checkbox, question mark. Yep, so it looks like up 2 wrench sides. So that's what we got there. Got a black die. Let's see what's different on this. Looks like kind of the same icons. I will point out that these are not cut. So the faces are not cut. So it looks like we've got, in this one, we've got 2 different hourglasses. Right, then we got a bus. Got another bus. The house. Is it 2 buses? Yep. Tree. Ballot box. Okay. Then here we've got shopping cart. Another shopping cart. Tree. Question mark. There's a little house icon here. I think it's a house. I don't know. Maybe it's a business. I realize I'm kind of holding these up to the camera so I can't see it too closely. All right, so we got the dice. We've got the rules of play. Oh my gosh. It's like 80 pages, folks. I can barely lift this. No, it's not. Not that big. All right, so I want to look. Where are the credits? Give me the credits, guys. Credits in here. Credits. There we go. All right. Developer. Look at that. Look at the name. I wasn't lying. I was not lying. Yeah. Women don't play, meaty strategic games. Jeff, what are you, some idiot? So we've got the introduction. Welcome to Centerville. Right. Welcome to Centerville is a dice-based board game for 2 to 4 players. It abstractly models the growth and management of a small city, perhaps not unlike the one you're in right now. Players act as entrepreneurs, tycoons, politicians, and other local movers and shakers. Moving and shaking, baby. Working to develop a modern urban community. Fortunes will be made, fame will rise, and disasters could strike at any time. As time goes by, celebrity status will enrich the players even further. From my understanding, what you're looking at in Welcome to Centerville is you have to kind of juggle both like fame and wealth, because at the end of the game you're going to have 2 tracks that you're tracking those, and at the end of the game your final like victory point tally is the lower of the 2. Okay, so we got the rules of play. Action rounds. Roll the dice, then spend the dice. Rolling the dice and spending the dice. Winning the game. Game terms and components. Taking a guess, we're going to see a lot of graphics in this. So there we go. So we got contracts and building. Benches in Central Park. Trees, the green belt, and the river. That's what that was. I was looking at it the wrong way. It's a graduate's cap. All right. Let's see if, all right, focus for me. It's probably trying to focus down on book and stuff. Okay, so we got education and vocations, votes and political offices, fate is the question mark, hourglasses and time. So the big blue cylinder is the time marker. And we're going to have wealth and prestige markers, status markers, favorite tiles, media tile, location tiles, master tiles, disaster tiles, safe tiles, and legacy tiles. Setting up the game. Yep, see? Loads and loads. Let's get it up there a little bit. Kind of just break down right there for you very easily how you're going to set up the game. Rolling the dice. It's not going to be a dice game unless you're rolling the dice, then spending the dice, passing the dice. Favorite tiles, disasters. I hate when that happens. The hourglasses. I guess you spend hourglasses. Time marches on. Okay. Yeah, because you're actually playing this over a period of, I think it's supposed to be a period of a few years as you're growing your city. Talking about trees, contracts. Education. Edumacation, as I always joke around. A little edumacation never hurt anybody. Benches. Votes. The fix is in. Stuff in the ballot boxes. I know it. Scoring rounds. Scoring the town, the river, political offices. Scoring vocations, scoring the villas. Ooh, you get your villa. Fancy, fancy. Rules for 2 players. So with 2 players, you've got bots. Interesting. Some play tips. That's nice. And the credits and wonderful development by Kai Jensen. Kai designed it. Chad's just putting his name on it. I know. Teasing. From what I understand, and I've just heard this through the grapevine, that a lot of Chad's designs, I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of them, it really is a big team effort. In fact, I could have swore there's some games that have been released that it's both of their names right on the cover. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm 99% sure I'm right. Okay, so we've got some stickers. Not sure what those might be for. If we didn't have everything on the dice, I'd say, oh, I guess they go on one of the dice or some of the dice, but maybe they go on the board. Okay, looks like we've got a couple of player aids, 2-player setup, actions. Oh, look at that. Haha, GMT's getting awfully fancy. Yes, you are correct. The cover does look very unusual for a GMT game. I'll give you another look at the cover. I wouldn't say it's cartoonish. It's gonna be a little more comic bookish. But okay, so we got that player aid. Got another player aid. Whoa, look at that. We got 4. That's right, because it's best with 4 players. I'm not positive if the rules for Welcome to Centerville are available in PDF on GMT's website. I do not know for a fact. I know a lot of times they'll have the PDF downloads, especially when a game is in a P500, which is their pre-order, to give you a better idea of how the game is going to play. When I've talked about companies that don't like to give you information about their games, GMT is the opposite. GMT loads you up with plenty of information to see, to make sure that if you decide you're going to either purchase a game, or if you're going to get in on the pre-order part of the P500, you can make a very, very educated buy. Right, so we've got these dual-sided counters here. And we've got factories. Looks like contracts, right? Oh, favor. Okay. The arts. Service with a smile. Health. Tourism, energy, transport. And as I showed before, it's dual-sided. So 1 counter sheet. And then... oh, not a huge board? Cool. Hey, look at that. Space will not be at a premium for this. And I say this for every GMT title, when they put the game board or the map in a plastic bag, be careful pulling it out of the bag. So, one-sided. And we've got, well, taking a look down here. Here's we got the score track. It's going to run around along the bottom, up the side, across the top. Favors, status track. This looks like this is where the votes, the political voting comes into play. There is the river. Looks like so. Those are the villas. So that is the, I guess we'll say, upper class residential area probably. And then we've got pretty much the city itself, the park in the middle. Got news. Cool. That looks pretty cool. Honestly, nothing I really... okay, granted, the rule book's a little longer than what most people playing some family games might be used to, but it's not huge. And it really does look like this would probably... well, it's okay if we go back. Looking at 15 pages. There's quite a lot of graphics in here too, though. Yeah, I could see from what I'm looking at. Maybe viewers out there would disagree, but from what I'm looking at, it doesn't appear like this would be a game that you couldn't introduce to, say, 11, 12-year-olds. Oh, people know their kids better than I do. I find, sometimes you run across kids that are 13 and 14 that just can't wrap their head around, very simple games. So, everybody's children is going to be different. But, yeah, this does look like this is probably going to be cool for the family. Yeah, nice. Very nice. So we've got the, whoops, as I bang the mic and move it over. So I apologize if you just heard like a big boom on your end. So we've got the player aid sheets. We've got the counter sheet. We've got the game board. We have the 6 various colored dice. We've got these stickers that I have absolutely no idea where they're supposed to go. Got to read the rules to check that out. I'm going to pick this up. We've got the rule book. We've got all the cubes and discs and cylinder in here. And the 6 dice. And I'll pop that back in. Oh, look. Hey, that's brilliant, Jeff. Let's be a dummy and put everything in the box top. Duh. And there we have what we've got when we take everything from Welcome to Centerville outside the box. Welcome to Centerville is available now from my pals over at GMT Games. You can learn more over at gmtgames.com. I did mention before, oh, I forgot the draw bag. Don't want to be leaving the draw bag out. One of the cats will probably be playing around with it, and that'll be it. But as I had mentioned before, and it all depends on your friendly local game store. A lot of times, they only order 1 copy of a GMT title. And GMT titles tend to sell out quickly. Why do you think there's been multiple printings of Twilight Struggle? I can't even imagine what printing they're on now. So, you want to make sure that if you're interested in checking out Welcome to Centerville, that you go and snag it right away. I am going to get a review of this out as soon as I possibly can. I do have to point out, I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of gaming in this weekend because my mom is actually flying in from the Phoenix area later on today. So, although, the funny thing is, if you had caught when I talked about, when I did a test stream talking about teaching my mom how to play Carcassonne, she loved Carcassonne. So I won't be shocked if we're playing a little Carcassonne maybe tonight and, or over the weekend. I'm sure my nephew Cameron's going to be, Uncle Jeff, you gotta make sure that we play some Lovecraft letter. I would not be shocked if he wants to get my grandmother involved in a little Lovecraft letter. I'm sure she'll dig it. All right, so I have the Lost Expedition to review for you today. And I received, of course, I received these review copies. I'm upfront. It's a review copy. I think folks who follow the Game Gang already know that it doesn't matter if it's a review copy or if I went and purchase it myself. I'm still going to give you the straight dope on a game. But anyway, I received this from Osprey Games. And I'm sure some folks are going to be wondering, well, geez, Jeff, why are the Lost Expedition that really doesn't strike me as a family game? But once again, there is nothing difficult about this game except for the difficulty level of winning the game. It isn't difficult to wrap your head around how to play the game. And the background to this is the explorer Percy Fawcett, back in the 1920s, thought he knew the location or had an idea of the location of the lost city of El Dorado, or as he liked to refer to it as the City of Z. And he set off a few times to try to find it. Then in 1925, he went off on his third expedition and was never seen again. And he had brought his oldest son and his son's best friend with, and they never returned either. So the Lost Expedition follows up on that. And you are leading a group of explorers who are also now going to try to find the city of Z, or El Dorado, whichever you want to call it. It is for 1 to 5 players. Plays in about 30 to 50 minutes. And once again, this is another game that says, well, it's for 14 and up. And I have to point out, I certainly believe it's the reason why it's 14 and up is because you got these little counters for different things. And anytime you include something there's the slightest possibility of someone choking on it, you have to crank up. Here in the US, you got to crank up your age suitability. Otherwise, you get in trouble. See, now if this had lead in it, it'd be 18 and up. I'm just kidding. That might be hit in China, though. All right, so the Lost Expedition. Let's take a peek at this. And I should be able to squeeze most of this onto the table here. Okay, so there's one thing as I'm getting this set up here that I have to take a little bit of issue with. And it's the kind of the representation of Percy Fawcett. And I know a lot of people out there have probably read Lost City of Z. Author's last name I want to say is Gann. Now I can't recall his first name. Or they may have seen the film Lost City of Z. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that isn't really historically accurate. Okay, so the portrayal they give of Percy Fawcett is not really correct. And I did even notice here in Pure Sylvester mentions in the book here, in the rules, talking about natives. I mean, and Percy's not sitting there trying to, you know, I should say not Percy. Pierre isn't trying to, you know, create an uproar or anything like that. And it's not something I'm going to super harp on, but it is something I do want to mention. Yeah, I guess those are in the right order. Okay, so that in the book, the designer mentions something about Percy being polite to the natives, or he was always polite to the natives, or something like that, and that is absolutely not true. The Lost City of Z and the book have portrayed Percy Fawcett as this just great explorer who, you know, outside forces worked against to prevent him the fame that he deserves, or something like that. And I'm not saying he was a horrible, horrible person, because for one, I'm not one of these people who tries to judge people historically out of context, right? I can't say anything about, say, Abraham Lincoln's views on slavery and how, man, you know, Abraham Lincoln was a racist, because you have to kind of look at people in the context of when they lived. It's too knee-jerk and politically correct to be sitting there trying to say, oh, well, you know, Alexander the Great, you know, he killed all these people. And yeah, okay, yes, Alexander the Great was a great military leader, and he was probably a horrible human being. But we can't judge him by our social mores of the day. So anyway, Percy Fawcett was a terrible racist. Percy Fawcett, and they don't mention this in the movie, but Percy Fawcett was searching for the lost city of Z, and he felt that there had to be white Brazilian Indians. Third from the left is in the wrong place. Well, it's 7. Yeah, I was just looking at this too, thinking, wait a second, is this 1, 2, 3? Do I have something upside down? So I was gonna say they don't look like they're matching up correctly. I don't know. That way? Yep, there we go. It's not hugely important how those look. But anyway, so Percy Fawcett sat there and he believed that there had to have been white Indians, is how he referred to them, to the Brazilian natives, the Amazonian natives, I guess we would say, that there had to have been white Indians who have built El Dorado, because the actual native peoples there was no way possible that those savages could. I mean, it's just, that's why it's kind of like, you know, crack open a history. I'm not trying to knock the designer of this game or anything like that. It's just, it's sort of, I know Lost City of Z was a very, very popular book, and it's actually, it's an entertaining, exciting book. It's just not, there's a lot of stuff that is not historically accurate in that book. All right, so anyway, so let's talk about the game, for crying out loud. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to line up these 9 cards, and they are numbered 1 to 9. And this is going to be your group's path to the Lost City of Z. And there are different ways that you can play the Lost Expedition. So you can play it as a cooperative game. You can play it more as a competitive game. And there are also rules for solitaire play. And I will point out, it's a lot of fun playing solitaire. It just, it plays differently playing it solitaire, though. So we do have these 2 explorer meeples. Hello, Livingston. Stanley, I presume. Then we've got these cards. And like I said, it's not a huge deal if I have something that's out of order here, doesn't match up correctly, because all you're really doing, let's use the green one. All you're really going to be doing is just using these cards to mark where your little explorer is. Okay. So you're going to lay those out, and then you're going to have 3 explorers. And the way I'm going to explain this game is I'm going to explain this as if it's a 2-player game. Okay? Regardless of the number of players, you're still going to have 3 explorers. So this is your team. So I'm going to show this as a cooperative way of playing, because there are 6 explorers. And in fact, if you take a peek, obviously enough, that is Theodore Roosevelt. Even says Teddy, the Rough Rider, Bull Moose himself. Going off on another quick tangent, I really appreciate that Teddy Roosevelt is finally getting some credit for actually being a pretty damn good president. And I know everybody's like, oh, he's a warmonger. He's a warmonger. Oh, really? I mean, well, yeah, and yes, he had this thing about the glory of war. In fact, unfortunately, it was a pretty terrible outcome for his son during World War I. That pretty much broke Roosevelt. But how many big wars did the U.S. get involved in while Roosevelt was president? Anybody? Anybody want to answer? Like I said, it's so easy for people to try to judge others outside of their historical context. All right, so then we've got our 3 explorers, and the explorers in their upper corner in the left side are going to have an icon, and the icon's either going to represent camping, navigation, and exploration. Yep. I'm getting the names right. I want to call them by the right name. Oh, jungle. Yeah, there we go. Jungle, navigation, camping. Pretty easy. That nothing really. The art's pretty cool. The art has a very throwback 1920s, 1930s style. like you would see in newspaper strips, good newspaper strips. So you're going to have your 3 explorers. Everybody's going to get, well, not everybody. You got 2 player aid cards, and they are dual-sided. So the first one's going to explain, okay, what are these resources, and what are these? What does the iconography mean? Strangely enough, black means you gain something, white means you lose it. And maybe that is a European thing, but as an American, strange as it sounds, usually with games we kind of think of like white or light colors meaning good, darker colors being bad. So it took a sec to remember, oh yeah, that's right, black means we get this. White means we lose it. And it's white, it's not transparent. So I could see if they went with transparencies. But once again, I mean, it's not a, big deal. Then on the other side, it's going to show you what all these icons mean on the cards. So if you're playing solitaire, you can kind of set it up like that. Now, if you're playing with more than 2 players, you do have to kind of share it, share the player aids, but I mean, there's no law against you taking the 2 player aids, popping them down in your scanner, and just scanning off a couple of copies to hand out to people. So I know the game is for up to 5 players, and you would think, would they include 5 player aids? But in my opinion, I mean, that's not a make or break. I'm sure somebody's out there complaining about it. Then you're going to have your exploration deck, and you're going to have shuffled this up. Shuffle this up a little bit. And no, I did not do any cheaty stuff. I did not stack this deck so I can show you things off. Okay. Now you've got tokens here. So we're going to play like the easy version. I'm not going to play a whole game. I'm just going to show it up, and I'm going to show you the easy version. So each of the explorers is going to get 4 health. I don't know. Teddy's getting up there in age. Maybe we should only give him 3. So each of your explorers are going to get the health icons. You're going to start off with, if I remember correctly, I think it's 4 food. Let me take a quick peek. Almost positive, because I've played this a couple of times with 2 players, and then I played it some solitaire, and I can't. Last time I played it, I was playing it solitaire, but I could swore it's 3 ammo and 4 food for 2 players. Come on, man, where are you? Yes, the adventure cards. I know that. I know the examples. There we go. Setup. Food token. Yep, 4 food, 3 ammo. Just making sure, because I don't want someone's, flipping out and go, for crying out loud, Jeff, you ignorant. Okay, so you can kind of put, your stuff in kind of a supply. You assume that, you're on one side of the table, your friend's on the other side of the table. Okay, and then we're going to have our 3 ammo. So I have to point out that this is a difficult game. Well, as we look at it, we're going to think, oh yeah, it's that can't be that tough. Oh yeah, it is. I would think if you can pull off winning 30%, 40% of your games, you're pretty clever. Because there's a lot of randomness to this. So each of the players is going to receive, in a 2-player game, they're going to get 6 cards. And these cards represent challenges and possible opportunities that your intrepid explorers are going to face. And you need to overcome these. And the whole point is you need to go from this far end here all the way to the lost city of Z. And it's 9 cards, and it's not easy. Because the only way you can advance is if you have an advanced card. I'm going to show off some of these cards here. When we see red iconography, that means that you have an option of what you're going to do on the card. So we're seeing here that this card is effectively we've encountered a native tribe. So our option would be we could spend 1 ammunition and a health to advance 1 card. Or we could kill one of the explorers to advance 1 card. Or we can lose a health and gain either an expertise for navigation or camping. So there are 3 possible outcomes to the game. 2 are bad, 1 is good. The good one is one of your 3 explorers lives long enough to be able to reach the lost city. Other way is you lose, all the explorers end up taking dirt naps. You lose. The second way you can lose is if you go through the deck, you go through these cards twice, and you still have not gotten to the lost city, you lose. It's assumed that the explorers have expired. Now, when I mentioned that I can see this easily being a game that you could break out and play with some of the family, you just don't have to say they die. You just say, okay, well, you know, they're too sick to go on. There's nothing here indicating that, yes, these tribe members killed one of the party. Come on. So, anyway, okay, so that's an example of a card there. Okay, then we get an example here that we've got yellow. Now, yellow means that you have to do all of the items that are on that card, and then, like this one, this is giving us an option. So, this would have us skip ahead. It would have us jump ahead 2 cards that we're going to line up. And then the option is going to be lose a health or lose a camping expertise. And when we see an expertise, when we see a call for an expertise, that means that the character who has that expertise has to spend a health. Or you can sometimes gain cards that will have that iconography on it, and you keep that in your supply. So if you find something where, okay, you need to spend a camping expertise, but you've got an expertise card in your supply, you can spend that. Otherwise, you have to spend health. And you will find you are losing food, you are losing health, things like that, much more often than you run across, wow, hey, this is something good. So that's kind of an example. Then we got a mudslide, all right? So right away, automatically, this iconography is telling us, all right, so it's going to be spend a health, spend a food, and we're actually going to swap positions with this card. It's also important to note the numbers on the bottom of the cards too, because those are going to come into play when during the morning phase. There's a morning and evening phase. So it's hiking in the morning and hiking at night. And it's kind of funny because the advanced token has like a hiker on it. It's like, oh yeah, we're just out here getting a little cardio. As opposed to, you know, trying to traverse one of the most inhospitable jungles in the world. So that's kind of giving you an idea. Oh, and when we see the blue, that means you gain those both. Wow, that's a good card. Okay, so I'm just giving you kind of an idea of these cards here. So what'll happen is each round, one of the players is going to be the expedition leader, so they're first. Really, that's all that does. Then you're going to have a morning phase, evening phase. And the reason why it's showing the food there is that after every morning phase, after every evening phase, you have to spend a food. If you don't have food to spend, then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to sacrifice 1 point of health from one of your explorers. Okay. So this is my buddy across here. That's his hand of cards. So as I mentioned, we got the 6 cards. So what you're going to do is, let's say I'm the first player, so I have to play a card. And it might be a little intimidating when you first start playing it, because you're going to see, okay, all right, well, okay, so that's bad. Hey, that's good. Maybe I should use that right now. Maybe I should get that. Maybe not. Path ahead. So during the day phase, when you play cards, you need to play them in a numerical order. So I'll give you an example. Let's do... yeah, okay. So I'm going to play this. We're basically, this is giving us the option. See, this is a friendly tribe. It's giving me the option of I can either gain this card as a navigation expertise, or I can use this to lose a food but gain health, or I can use this to actually spend food to advance 1. And there are not a ton of cards that are going to allow you to advance down this path, but sometimes you have to kind of play it where it might be more beneficial to not play an advance card, because what you have to lead up to it to get that advance is not going to be fun. Okay, so I'm going to play this card here. So then my other partner in crime here is going to look to play a card. And no, he would not probably do that. I don't want to do that. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, just for these. All right, for an example. Play the Black Panther, okay? So you got the Black Panther. And no, we're not talking about the upcoming movie from Marvel in February that everyone's looking forward to. So we got the Black Panther, and we can see here that we automatically are going to gain this card as a jungle expertise. And then we're going to get an option of, okay, so we can spend an ammo to basically shoot the Black Panther, and we're going to get food. Or we can spend 2 food, or we can spend 2 health. Now, personally, in my opinion, it's going to be a good idea that we shoot the Panther. But here's the rub, right? We got 2 cards out here. We need to have 4. Or based upon the number of players you've got, each round, so this is the morning. And the morning round here, each player has to play 2 cards. So with a 2-player game, it's going to be 4 cards. So now it's back to me. So I'm going to start looking at, okay, so what do I have either after this or before this that would probably make sense to use? So it's like, well, don't necessarily want to use that one. I don't want to put the Thunderstorm down, because then the Thunderstorm is going to have us skip these 2 cards, which these 2 cards are actually kind of good. We sort of want these. Don't want to play that. Do I want to play the mudslide, which would come after here, and then we'd have to spend a health and a food and then swap cards. So this is where like this kind of puzzling aspect comes into the game. And you cannot talk to your fellow players about the cards you have in your hand. You can say, once the cards are played, you can say, oh yeah, you know, if we could approach it this way. But you can't say, well, you know what, if you've got this, play this because I've got that. You can't do that. So, oh yeah, okay, just for sake, for an example, I would play that. We know there's going to be a card in between, and then my buddy over here says, I'm going to play Swamp. Okay. So we got the 4 cards. So now these 4 cards have to be resolved in the order numerically. So we got 5, 40, 42, 56. So cool enough, we could basically spend a navigation expertise to advance one. Yeah, why not? Okay, so Isabel is going to lose one of her health tokens. And we're going to move one. And then, okay, so that's done. We discard that. Then we got the Black Panther. So we're going to get this jungle expertise. What do we want to do? Do we want to spend ammo? Ammo's not easy to get. But it's going to give us a food. Food's not easy to get either. So, okay, spend the ammo. And of course, you're discussing this with your, the fellow players. Spend the ammo. We're going to get a food. We're going to add that to our team stash. And then we would actually take the Black Panther back to Wakanda. Now, we're going to take the Black Panther and we're going to place, excuse me, we're going to place this card in our supply. And it really does, it's cooperative, so you don't really need to, like, oh, I get the card, because I just put it with your stuff, right? Your supply. You can put it there if you wanted to. Okay, so then we get to this point. So, oh, hey, cool. We got a friendly native. Hey, you know what? We could spend a food, and we're going to get one more. We're going to move one more. Let's do that. Hey, spend the food, because we just got the food from the Black Panther. Move there. And this would get discarded. This is not something that we would hang on to. So we get rid of that. And the cool thing is that anytime you run into an icon you're not familiar with, just look at the little player aid. Super simple. So we see here, okay, well, it's telling us we got to add a card. So the next person who, I take that back. We would draw a card, and we're going to get a monkey. Hey, well, there you go. So far, this is easy. We're just zipping along. Everybody's happy to see us. Sorry, it does not work that way in this game. So here we know we got to add it. So we need to add a card. So we're still in the middle of the morning round. There's subtracting a card too. So we needed to add the card. Now we have an option of either spending a resource, a navigation resource, or 2 health. So you'd be sitting there saying, okay, well, I don't know. Looks like I'm going to have to spend another health point from Isabel. Now she's at like half strength. And we haven't gotten that far. I think we're, about 1.5 miles from the boat that came down the river. She's already, halfway to death's door. But it would allow us to get beyond this card, to move past this card. And in case you're wondering, if you're sitting there saying, well, you could spend 2 health or the navigation expertise, obviously you're just going to spend 1 health for the navigation expertise. Well, yes, if Isabel's still alive. But if the explorer that has that iconography, that expertise, is dead, well, then you got to go with the other option. There's no getting away. from it, and it's very possible that that's another explorer. You never know. Okay, so we get past that. Then we got the monkey. And hello, monkey. We can spend a food to gain this card. And this card, when you see these cards that give you, it's kind of an option. Okay, it's an either or. It's the navigation or the jungle. This card can only be used once, so you can use it for either one of those. Okay, so for an example, say, okay, spend the food, get the monkey card, and this is going to go into our reserve. So we're actually in pretty good shape for the moment. Well, that would finish up the morning phase. We're going to flip it to the evening. Don't forget, we got to feed our explorers, so we lost the food. So we're basically 2 cards into the jungle. We still got a ways to go. Isabel's not doing too hot health-wise. We do have some cool stash cards, is what I like to kind of call them. They're stashed away that might help us out. But we only have 2 food and a couple of shots left. So you can see, even though that went pretty well for the first round, for the morning round, that we're still not in great shape. So, and then you're just basically, so the evening you're going to do kind of the same thing, but now this time you're going to actually place the cards and you're going to resolve them in the order that they get placed. And this is really where you have the option to kind of give yourself a leg up a little bit. I find the evening phases tend to be a little easier than the morning, because the morning is you've got to resolve these cards in the order with the numbers down below. Whereas, you can sit there and say, okay, say you've got something really terrible, you would be dropping down something there. Also, for an example, like dehydration. Now you're sitting there and you're hoping, well, maybe my fellow player has a card that will be able to allow us to swap those, and then maybe to subtract the card, things like that. So, like I said, I find the evening turns to go a bit easier. So you're going to continue to go through the morning and the evening phases until either you reach fame, fortune, and the lost city of Z, or you end up just a forgotten footnote in history that never returns. I have to say, I really like the Lost Expedition, because the mechanics to it are pretty simple, but it is challenging. And as I said before, that first kind of phase there, the morning turn, that went really well. Usually, things like that don't usually happen. You'll find yourself every time you're getting an opportunity to maybe advance, that it's going to be way too costly to be able to advance another card, or something gets played that completely ruins that. So I dig games that it's not just written in stone that I'm going to be able to win. It's just the sort of person I am, the way I like to play. I don't necessarily mind losing a game. I don't mind losing to game's AI. I don't mind losing to other players, as long as I had a good time and I feel that, I did my best in the game. So as far as the Lost Expedition, it is available now. It's been out for a while. I think it's been out since August. And I have got to say that I want to give it about an 8.5, maybe like an 8.8. I mean, it is really that good. I really enjoyed it that much. I think it's a really, really cool game, and not a whole heck of a lot to wrap your head around. And I'm not going to use that, oh, it's easy to learn, difficult to master nonsense. I'm not going to say that, because some people may have a bit of an issue, because it's possible to run into some analysis paralysis, because remember, you can't talk about the cards that are in your hand. So sometimes you're like, oh man, oh, what do I do? What do I use? I don't want to end up, losing an explorer, but we're trying to get through. Because remember, all that matters is that you reach the lost city. Even if it's one explorer and he's got 1 health, you have no ammo, no food left, anything like it. If you're able to get to the lost city, you win. Everything else is you lose. You don't just lose, you don't even make it back to wherever you're from. Anyway, so I dig it a lot. I think it's a very, very cool game. And I started off with the whole talking about Percy Fawcett thing. That's not a knock on the game. It's not a knock. I don't expect Pierre Sylvester to be, I believe that's his name, right? Yeah, Pierre Sylvester. To be, all-knowing about every aspect. He probably, read the book, thought, wow, this is a cool story. I'm going to make a game out of it. And there's actually Judge Dredd is going to be coming based on this Lost Expedition, based on the Cursed Earth. So I am looking forward to that. So there you have it. The Lost Expedition. Yeah, let's give it let's go 8-7. I'm not going to go like 10 or anything like that. I mean, it's not groundbreaking or anything. It's just a lot of fun. Very, very interesting. It's thematic, amazingly enough. You would think, really? As you're playing these cards, you're picturing, oh, okay, oh, and then we were attacked by the Black Panther. And then we ran into that friendly tribe. But then we had that storm. Yeah, it's interesting how that, even though it's just cards with artwork, your mind starts kind of piecing these things together. So anyway, yes, so that is the Lost Expedition from the fine folks over at Osprey Games. As I had mentioned before I wrap up, Monday, going to do an unboxing of Sakura Arms from Alderac Entertainment Group. So that is going to be very cool. Once again, I am Jeff McAleer, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate people taking some time out. And Enroth 186, thank you so much for tossing out a few comments there. Don't usually see a whole lot in chat, except for sometimes trolls. Whatever. And I had a few people yesterday that were kind of asking questions. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. And be sure to kind of spread the word. Let your friends know on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. Shoot the link out for the Gaming Gang. If you dig the video, if you weren't watching live and you kind of dig the video, by all means, give it a thumbs up. If you give it a thumbs down, it's okay. People like what they like. It's all right. If you give it a thumbs down, do me a favor though. Just put a real quick comment. What did you not like? You'd be amazed. Sometimes I'll get a thumbs down on, like, say, an unboxing video for a game, and they gave it a thumbs down because they're not interested in the game. It's like, well, yeah, well, okay. Well, first of all, why did you watch the video or start watching it? And I didn't create the game. I'm just covering the game. But anyway, so have a wonderful weekend. There's some pretty bad storms, pretty bad weather that's hitting various parts of the country right now and throughout the weekend. So if you're out in that part of the U.S., be careful out there. I know we have some viewers who aren't in the U.S. too, so you can be careful out there where you live too. So if you're not watching the Daily Dope, be sure to swing over to thegaminggang.com for the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your game on at thegaminggang.com. Get your geek on. Did I say game? Man, it's Friday. It's been a long week. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I may have started saying that anyway. I don't know. So until Monday, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you then. Take care.